So I was trying to nut last night, and then like I ended up googling how genetic variation is basically a survival modality for the human existence. But yeah. Oh, also like this fucking lighting is so kind. Um, I don't know. I am currently just literally at my flat at the moment. I'm renting out. I just woke up. It's like I think there's an airplane outside. Um, I was just like about to go out in a bit. But yeah, I was just contemplating about how, you know, if it wasn't for genetic variation and like the complete like diversity and multicultural existence of like human in existence and like humanity itself, we really wouldn't have made it here as a species, wouldn't we? I mean, like when you think about it, it's just like if it wasn't for like genetic variation, we wouldn't have made it this far. I don't know. I feel like a lot of people. Yeah, I was like literally about to like just do a rub one out, and then like I don't know. I just stopped like midway. And I was like, it's kind of funny that like a lot of people are trying to go towards like a more monolithic and like very like sort of monotone like society, but like it's the fact that like I think it's the very fact that we're all different that has like actually led us all here in the first place. But it's just like we're kind of having to also come to terms with there's a direction like where our future is going at the moment, where it's like we could also potentially go towards a society where like people might try and like help us comprehend to actually accept that sort of genetic variation. But then we also have people on one hand trying to force us into commodity, into like a more so very non-individualistic society, and not have us think for ourselves, because like difference, because we've been taught like sometimes as kids that like something that's inherently different or like alien or like foreign to us isn't really necessarily something that can be trusted. But usually that's a lot of fear mongering going around. So I feel like that really comes hand to hand in, as to how like people have survived over the years. And like because I think the best people who've thrived within like our social situations are people who just like understand that like it is through like our individuality itself that has led to us like coming so far in life, and like our why we're all successful in the first place. I don't know, but yeah, I was just like it was just like on my mind like the whole night. I just like kept thinking about it. I was like, that's a very interesting thought. But yeah, I don't know. It's like sometimes I wonder, like, why is it like we are told to like, as young, when we're young, we're told like, you should be yourself, you really shouldn't fit into society. And now that we're adults, they're asking us to like, yeah, you're gonna have to fit in now. Because if you don't fit in into like a society that's just like basically, based around like a sort of patriarchal, sort of, yeah, monolithic, like, and has like roots in like very fundamental traditionalism, it's telling us like, well, yeah, now you're gonna have to fit in, because if you don't sort of quote unquote fit in, you're gonna have to like have a difficulty, working around different spaces, different communities, or like different like aspects of social life, which is actually completely far from the truth reality, because it is through our variation that has actually led us to be more comprehensible in terms of like being able to socialize and like really get along with others. But yeah, they don't teach that in schools. That's just something that comes with life experience. But yeah, that's like these are things like people have to find out, like either easy way or hard way, depending on how well they just accept themselves as individuals, and like how unique they are as individuals, as and especially as like human beings in interactions with others and oneself. But yeah, that's yeah, I don't know, it's just funny how genetic variation, it's a thing that we get taught, like especially in our science classes. And I don't know, it's just like I just think it's peculiar that like we're going towards like a direction where it just feels like the future is uncertain, and like we might have like the risk of like feeling like we might have to conform to identities that are not necessarily individualistic, but rather are conforming to like a one monotone like identity, which will never happen, because like the thing is, we as individuals, we're all from like unique experiences, backgrounds, like that we can't like me here, you can't replace me as the individual. But like in terms of like in a work setting, in work you are replaceable, but like you as the individual, you are not replaceable, if that makes sense. Like, do you get what I mean? Like, and you know what I mean, because like people have been through situations where they feel like, well, yeah, they have been easily replaced in a system that is also broken, but at the same time you're not the broken individual, but like rather it is the system, the systemic, the systemic like order of operations within a society that has told you that your individuality is a threat to the conformist ideals of like society that aren't actually really conforming, they're actually just bullshit. So, you know, people are talking about like, well, the more wealth you have, the more value you have as a person. But the thing is, value is something that is accumulated through one's reflection of oneself, through the eyes of one in your mindset and the ones in your in your being, right? It's just like you could be like a billionaire, but like you won't actually be happy. I mean, like you won't actually, you know, you won't. A lot of millionaires like they're miserable people, but like the thing about it is like variation does like that's where variation comes into play. How is it that like those people got to where they are, but that we still have people down in the bottom ranks, you know, not being able to like afford food, water, or like just I don't know, just get like proper food on the table, especially like, you know, food for their children or like, you know, their families. Like why are we not encouraging people to just understand that like sometimes in life it's just like there are people who are able to be in like the top of those ranks, and then there are people who are still down here, not usually because of how hard they're working, but it's just usually through the accumulation of their generational wealth rather than just like, you know, just places like, well, they worked really hard to get to where well, that is slightly true, but like also it also comes down to like a lot of privilege and like class, you know. And like it's just like variation does works in that sort of way. Is just like there's always gonna be 1 or 2% of the people who are at the upper ranks, and they're able to stay there due to like them having been through that upbringing and through that like sort of genetic like sort of upstream. But that's why they were able to get there. It's like it kind of goes into show it's like variation has also contributed to our survival as a species, because if we were all the same we would all have perished, right? Like let's say for example, you know, we're being told like, oh, we need more engineers in this world, but the thing is if everyone was engineers in the world we would still all be dead though, right? Hence why there's not just engineers on this planet earth. Like, you know, we have space, like there's so many professions, right? They tell you, well, you know, you should be this, you should be that, but like the thing is, you know, you as the individual, you are who you are, so it doesn't matter what you are, you will still be. So it's just like that's I think what I'm trying to say is like genetic variation kind of goes into play in hand in hand into how like human nature works in terms of like our progress and like our process and our basically production and our social production in society, and like how it contributes to like what our skills are, our values, our assets, our like what knowledge we have, what knowledge we have to give to others, what we have to partake in terms of like the upper, you know, echelons of society, and how it contributes to the whole universe as a whole. But yeah, I was trying to, and then I just basically questioned human genetic variation, but whatnot. But yeah, that's my little rant.